What is up, everybody? Going to get started with a new round of strictly just UI UX reviews. It's been a while since I've done one of those. Usually I've been working on the design course relaunch, but now I'm going to try to get through these rapidly. I'm going to let people filter in just to get started here. Say hi in the chat. All right, and we'll get rocking here in a few minutes. What is up? Singh, Soham, what is up? This is the submission where this is the channel where we already have 10, 11, 12 submissions. Big Don. All right. Up to 60 concurrent viewers. All right, so okay, we'll get started. I'll answer that question right there. How can I submit? YouTube description gives you all the details. You join my Discord server. You'll have to click on one of these emoticon reacts in order to unlock the servers, or the channels rather, and then you click on negative space submissions right here. And then you just submit your design and I will review it. All right, so the design could be in Figma, Xd, preferably live, on a website, but it doesn't have to be. And I will just review it real quickly. And for this edition of the negative space, I'm going to try to get through these really fast. So I'm going to be looking at, the one thing that you need to change the most, and I'm going to move right on to the next one. I'm not going to bother with rating, or at least asking you all to rate it. I might give a little rating on a scale of 1 to 10, but that's it. So we're going to do this for around an hour. But before I do that, just to give myself a little bit of a plug and spam you all, it's coming. I know you guys have been waiting for a long time, since almost a year, for the designcourse.com relaunch, but it is definitely coming. And if you go to designcourse.com, enter your email if you have not yet in order to be notified when this releases. We're aiming for the end of August to do a pre-launch, in which most of it will be done. You'll be able to join right there for a discount and all that good stuff. So yeah, check that out. All right, so let us get started. We're at 116 viewers. All right, cool. Number one. All right, Big Don. Big Don's like always first. He's just always there. Everybody needs to be more like Big Don. Oh my God, what is happening? That's massive. This is the items listing page for P2P renting platform. All right, so I guess I'm not sure where I'm going. Am I supposed to hit play? Okay, there we go. All right, so what do we have here? Let's just open this up. It looks like it's cut off at the top. Why the hell is it doing that? Like, I could tell there's a button up here. It's just like they have that stupid bar up top. What is Figma thinking? I don't understand. I really want to see what that looks like. Maybe I could find it on here specifically. Well, where the hell? Oh, nope. Go to the mobile view page. Well, I don't see it under share. I don't understand where I'm supposed to go. God dang it, Big Don. You come over here, getting me all confused. I'm trying to find where the hell is that page at? We're not starting this stream off very well. Dude, you're gonna have to... Well, oh, there it goes. What the heck? See, I really don't like Figma's viewing. I should be able to scroll up. I'm trying to use my control mouse wheel. Dude, you've got so much stuff over here. I don't even know where to navigate here. Mobile view. Oh, okay. All right, page. All right. All right, cool. what is this? Like, I'm not sure what this would be. This toggle button. It looks like a toggle switch type thing. That's kind of confusing. I like the logo. Looking at this here. It's pretty simple. I don't see anything that's really coming out as being wrong blatantly, so that's a good sign. This is kind of strange because it's one of those designs I feel like it could be polished, but I don't have any concrete. Okay, so like right here, this color could definitely be changed because it doesn't really contrast well, for sure. So I would change that color against this mid-gray background. So yeah, I really like. Well, wait, what's going on with there? What do you got going on with this magnifying glass? You might want to fix that up. Maybe that was an accident, because it looks like it's been squashed. Either way, not bad. Nothing coming out as blatantly obvious. Let's get started with the next one, and maybe I will do a little bit better because that one was all jacked up. All right, next one. Farewell North. Is there any comments here? Nope. All right, so first of all, not exactly sure what this is. It says coming soon. Is it a game? Is it a movie? So I think we need to definitely address one of the primary concerns that a user has when they visit a website, and that is, what is this about? So I guess it is a game. So got to try to make it a little bit more obvious that it's a game in some way, because it had me confused, at least. I like to see a little bit more of a structured approach to a layout. Things are kind of just randomly put. Like for instance, you have this right here. There's a space right here, and so it's not solidifying a nice container-based layout. And then we have this is like kind of right aligned, but then there's a white space here, and so it just seems all over. And then in the middle you have center aligned elements. So you need to try to really stick with your vertical columns, like your grids, because it seems things are quite loose at this point. All right, next one. Languages learning website I've been working on. All right, let's see. I've seen this one before. I'm not sure if you submitted it before. Yeah, I know you submitted it before. I'm not sure if I actually got to review it. All right, so first, being on this large resolution, I don't think you should have the container all that fluid. I know there's a little bit of white space here and here, but this needs to be pushed way in when you get to a certain resolution. So I would say it shouldn't be any, probably wider than this right here. And then at that point, you keep it a fixed width so that you're not going back and forth like that. Outside of that, I like the colors. Colors are looking good. I like these cards. Nice subtle kind of pastel cards with the icons inside. I like that look. It's a relatively modern sort of trend and take on cards and icons. This is all looking pretty good here. Nice slider view. Yeah, this is a pretty solid one. I'm not sure why these are so tall though. But yeah, this is overall quite solid design. It was just that one little gripe about the container here. Good. Yeah, it's definitely good typographic visual hierarchy all around. Colors, layout, white space, etc. All looking quite well. All right. Next up, personal blog. What is happening? What is going on? All right. So if you only have a very limited amount of content, you really should try to figure out how to really take up the available space. So you have two blog posts. Try to mark them as featured if you have that option, if you're using a CMS, and then really try to make them take up the page more. Also, a little bit strange on the alignment here. It's just this stuff's left aligned. It's like this should at least be centered, these two elements, because they have all the space. You have all this empty space. That's what you need to change most of all. So definitely consider those suggestions. Excuse me. All right, so this is a portfolio. Next up, let's get rocking. Let's see here. WordPress and Laravel developer. All right, send a message, view products. Overall, I like this section. Pretty decent. Let's see. All right, so this is a better take on listing out your skills as opposed to the people who put progress bars. They just don't look good. The progress bars are just showing you your deficiencies, and it's just putting simple logos. I like this approach a lot better. So that's a positive. Interesting little background-based scroll color change. Maybe a little bit too much white space here on above and top because it requires a lot of scrolling. But for the most part, this isn't actually too bad. I'd like to see texture in the background or something. Like I said, just to give a little bit more texture. There's a lot of different ways you can do that. I wouldn't even use a photograph. Maybe something illustration based that's like just simple shapes or something like that. All right, very good. Next up, work in progress, but it's something. All right. Looking at this, I would definitely probably take these and make them black, and maybe increase the font size just a tad bit. Looking at them, it's 16 pixels, which is like the least amount, like the minimum amount that you should do. So bump those up by maybe to 18, and also make them black and a little bit more white space between them. I would probably again increase this gray color here, increase the contrast a little bit more. And how big are these? 18 pixels. Probably bump that up to about 21 pixels. I like the colors. Pretty good illustration over here in this section, so that's good. I like this a lot. Yeah, quite solid. All right, next up. Let's get this in position. All right. Yeah, so let's see here. These hovers, I don't really like the design of the drop-down menu. Notice how they're designed exactly the same as the primary links. So when it comes to having a drop-down menu, those links should be styled differently. So if we're talking about visual hierarchy, the one thing that's most important is this primary link where it says our chapters, and then beneath this will be secondary to that. So I would scale down the size a little bit, maybe not do text transform uppercase, just do it regular. And then maybe left align them. The center line looks a little bit strange. This picture right here, I mean, this has taken up a lot of screen real estate, so to speak. So I'm not really sure if I would dedicate such a large area to this header. You could always wash it out, make it a watermark photograph, and then have your headline up on top of it. Outside of that, yeah, this is kind of messy right here. First of all, wrapping these different sections right here in cards doesn't really make sense, especially when they have the drop shadow and stuff. So I would probably decrease that, or just remove those quite a bit, because it's also throwing off the structure of the layout when one's like smaller slightly than the other one. And then these events, these thumbnails, they need to be greatly simplified. There's just too much stuff happening and it looks like a big cluttered mess. So really try to work on simplifying things here. Next up, Figma. What is this? Okay. Let's continue on. All right. So, man, woman, accessories, about, contact. Clotho. Is it clotho or clotho? Shop now. All right, so it's simple enough. I could see that this is intended to be a slider. Let's see if this is actually... All right, so it's here in mobile format. I like the... I like this portion right here. This is nice. It would be nice and easy to use if you're on mobile, so that works well. Continuing on, coat, $80, $50, $60, not too expensive. I might want to think about this new arrivals. I would probably make that... It's a little bit strange. We have new arrivals, and then you have this high contrast border, and then this little fall season that's slapped over to the right with hardly any white space. I would try to rethink that and lay that out in a manner that's structured a little bit better. You might want to take fall season, and with the N is like right on this element where an invisible vertical grid line occurs at the end of S, so to speak. So just move that over and maybe even get rid of this vertical line. Also, I would take these cards where it has kind of like this transparent gray right here where you can see the background. I would make those no opacity or 100% opacity so that you can't see the background, because it's just a little bit too cluttery-ish, if that's a word, cluttery-ish. And then also the white space at the top of white coat, but there's hardly any white space at the bottom. Also, you want a good typographic visual hierarchy separation. White coat shouldn't be styled exactly the same as the price, so you need to separate those, emphasizing one over the other, probably the title over the price. All right, next up. All right, so there's an issue of kind of clutter here. You should really work on your white space in between these elements. Current favorite tech stack. This, in terms of content or information architecture, or IA, this doesn't make sense right here to have your current favorite tech stack. Nobody cares. Or at least it falls way low on the list of things that a potential client or employer would care about. This is kind of a feature about you. You want to emphasize your benefits. And that's a marketing 101 thing. How are you going to benefit somebody with your skill set? Your current favorite tech stack tells them essentially very little, especially with a client who doesn't know what these logos are or what they mean or whatever. So remove this, get yourself a strong call to action, bump up this text. It's more of like a sub headline, and this is your headline. Maybe work in texture in the background if you're going to keep it this simple, and try to get some, just something else here, and then a strong call to action. Just get rid of this and a strong call to action first and foremost. All right, next up. Cutlum, I did already review one of yours, so if we have time at the end, I'll come back to it. Adrian! I see Adrian down there, another fellow YouTuber. I will try to get to his. All right. How long we've been doing this? Only 20 minutes. Okay. Sweet. Okay, so let's refresh this. Hydrolite.io. All right. The place for developers to deliver, deploy, Discover software. All right, so sometimes when people do the whole animated word replacement thing, they either make it too short, too long. This seems pretty decent. It's not sitting here making me wait to read. So this is actually pretty decent. As far as the subheadline, we want to bump that up a notch in terms of the font size. And also, if I hover over this, I'm not sure if that passes. It's not allowing me to see if it passes the WCAG. But font size is 1 rem, like 1.25 rem maybe. That's a lot better, bumping that up. And then for the color, yeah, you want to go down a little bit darker, at least to this contrast. Also, this is another one of those examples. There's been like 2 or 3 of these already where it's leaving me wanting something else visually, especially when we're out this large of a resolution where all we have is just a pure white background. Again, we can work in texture in interesting ways. Like if I go to dribble.com, I'm sure I could find an example here relative. Oh, yep, already found one. Wait, where'd it go? Oh man, it's somewhere. Yeah, right here. So notice here in this example how they just have like random what is happening? They're gonna give me a seizure. See, like these random 3D elements in the background, like these illustrations can add texture and character to your designs. Whereas you just have this, it's just plain white. So that's what I would say this probably would in this context, in this type of hero section, would benefit from. Next up, I can't remember where I was. Oh, there we are. Right. Trying to remember to go through these quickly. All right, so this lacks a strong layout. It's kind of all over. So we have this middle section here, which is maybe this big. We have the next section over here, which is a little bit bigger. We have the navigation up top, which is way out bigger. So things are going in, out, and it just makes it difficult for the user to follow. So it also just makes it look a lot better, just visually appealing when everything is kind of aligned in a discernible, logical manner on your grids, essentially, your vertical and horizontal rows, essentially. And so that's one thing that I would definitely say would increase the effectiveness of this design a lot more. Coming out here, looking on the rest, is this. Yep. No, I have to mention it at least once. Don't rely on placeholder values. You definitely want to make sure you use labels, or at least floating labels. It's an accessibility issue. People enter this, they start entering, and then they don't know what they're entering anymore. It's like you got to keep a label there, always present. All right. Next up, Hydrolite. All right. This is an open source e-commerce app built with Next.js and Material UI. All right. We got some gradients going on here, colorful gradients. All right, so the biggest issue with this here is going to be white space. Too much white space, and this would be addressed and fixed by increasing the size and position of this section right here. So you have, it doesn't even look like I can select this text. I'm not even sure what's happening. We have divs all over the place. So I can't really find exactly where I can. I really want to bump up the size of that headline quite a bit, like 2 to 3 times the current size. Maybe move over these phone graphics to the right so you give yourself a little bit more room to, get this away from the edge so much. Push it over, get it over here, starting where my mouse is moving, and also give yourself a call to action. There's lacking a complete call to action right here. So it just gives you nowhere to click. Users shouldn't have to rely on the navigation to get places when they land on an app or a website on first. There should be an actual call to action. Also, this doesn't look good. You need to use a higher resolution image because it is blurred out and pixelated like crap. So definitely change that. All right, next up, sustainable. This is a blog teaching about sustainable environmental web design. All right. Sustainable www. Now that looks like it's pixelated too, the logo itself. Like, I'm not sure if that's okay, so it's a WebP. It just, yeah, it looks pixelated. Out here, this is pretty decent. You might want to, on these drop-down menus, maybe in the container itself, give it a slightly lighter background color than the background it's sitting on. Outside of that, we are leading you towards a more sustainable internet. Get started, our mission. All right. You know, I might want to change. See, notice you're using this green, but this green is found here, right, like adjacent to it, right next to it. You might want to change this background color to something like this, and then change the font color, which that's not changing. But this color right here should be white, and maybe this could be that green right here, and then that way the eye is naturally directed towards your primary call to action a little bit more. So this is what it was like before. So you can see they kind of like combat, or they not combat, but they're equally begging for attention, or this even more so, because there's a lot more of that green. Outside of that, not too bad otherwise. Outside of, all right, let's continue. ISIC dev. All right. I was just talking about this. All right. I did the same thing. I'm going to talk about it again. When you're a teenage developer or designer, don't tell people about it. I can see right here, hi, I'm a 15-year-old beginner front-end web developer and designer from Sweden. Like, if you're trying to get clients, which presumably that's the case because you have a portfolio, I wouldn't be advertising that you're 15 years old. Most people are going to say, all right, that person by default isn't experienced and they're not worth it. It's a logical fallacy, of course, because your age shouldn't be tied to the quality of your work. Your work will tell them if you're good enough or not, but people will make that judgment anyways. So don't tell them about your age. There is also quite a bit of issues with just clutter right here. White space, vertical white space, push things away from each other because these are all stacked so close. Also, white space over here. Push this over. Take this whole section. I'm going to show you how much better this will look if the text is or the elements are set up correctly. So if I go margin left, nope, we're going to have to go like 8M units or maybe even 12M units. Shoot, let's go like 16M units. All right, so look how much better that looks. Positioned right here with room to breathe, at least in this, this larger viewport, compared to this. It's just kind of stuck over there. So you want to give things room to breathe. So those are my few comments. Keep on keeping on. It's good for 15 years old. Figma, just a sign-up page design, plus I am new to graphic design, web design, etc. All right. So the one issue I noticed right away, there's too much white space between your navigation items. So you definitely want to get them a little bit closer, not too close, but so there's a happy medium in there. But this is definitely too far apart. It's spread apart, and it's just annoying for the users. The Get Started button itself, it needs more white space or padding on the inside because it's just this Get Started text is too big in relation to the size of the container in which it sits. After that, you have alignment issues. So I'm not sure if I can get, no. There's a ruler or a vertical, I guess you could call it, line that's created from the left of this headline. Let's get you signed up. But then over here, offset by like 100 pixels or so, you have your form. And so this is throwing things off. They should all be on the same line for the most part. There's exceptions to this rule, but then like notice how the email, that's also alignment, that's also messed up. It's kind of indented a little bit from where the text field starts. Get that to the left. So get everything aligned along the same column. It's going to look a lot better. All right. Next up is, I think right here. Yeah, it is. All right. All right, so something strange happening with the type. Because I'm not sure, like, what font is that? Prosto 1. It really, okay, so first of all, we should bump up the contrast. But I'm not sure if I like this font because it really seems like it's extremely extended. And it looks like it's like morphed somehow in such a way that, yeah, I would just recommend getting using a different font, or if you're squishing it or somehow in some way, I would not do that. Outside of that, let's refresh this. Yeah, it's giving me something to be desired here in the middle, just because you only have a few words, and it just seems, yeah, kind of messy, especially if you have this use of cookies thing over here. Ideally, that might be like something that comes up from the bottom. And this is giving me nowhere to click. There's no call to action of any sort. People shouldn't have to scroll down or think to scroll down. You should tell them if the call to action is a scroll, put something that's identifiable there as a scroll. A lot of white space here. Things can be moved in, or the width can be increased on both of those columns. Next up, I got this one made by a pro designer. Here we go. Adrian has a pretty large YouTube channel. He does UI, UX as well. All right. Now, Adrian, did you do this design? Because Eric, Programming with Eric is also another YouTuber. All right, I'm going to give you my honest assessment. Here we go. All right, so home, courses, blog, YouTube. All right, so I don't have much of a problem with the header. I will say for welcome and then learn, view, and how to code, I would probably bold the welcome because I could tell the welcome is not bolded. It's normal for font style. The subheadline, the font weight is still normal, but for some reason it is bolder. It just looks like it's thicker. So I would inverse that and maybe scale down the size of learn, view, and how to code. Like scale that down. That way you increase that visual hierarchy between the two. And then maybe take the view courses button, push it down just a bit. It's a little bit close, these three elements together. Outside of that, obviously these would be filled in with some sort of thingy, you know, like a thumbnail of some sort. I would space out the sections a little bit more, like take this section where underneath view all posts and just kind of push it down more so there's more room to breathe between these sections. You might even actually be able to do that with this blog. These three elements, and just kind of push them down from the hero section up here. These are all pretty good right here. They're structured nice, good use of colors. Yep. And as long as these would be, when you click them, obviously floating labels of some sort, that would work. All right, very good, bro. All right. Shocks Pro. All right. We've been doing this for 34 minutes. And at this point, before I get to this, we are going to go to designcourse.com. And I'm going to show you guys something cool. It's not done yet, but definitely go here to enter your email if you haven't yet to be notified when this releases. We're eyeballing the end of next month. And if you want to take the UI design game, go to this URL. I'll put it in the chat. We have some things that we're going to change about this, but for the most part, you can still take the game. So you just click on the first one, activity feed. You don't have to log in. There's no accounts or anything. And you can start taking the game that I'm going to release It's a UI design game, and I'm really hoping to get it like on Product Hunt. So I'm going to need your help when this ends up becoming a thing. But yeah, it's going to help people train their eye for UI design. And so these are the 15 tests that I have created, and that's how long this free UI design game is going to last. So very fun stuff. Like for instance, what's wrong with this one? Like what could be wrong here? Out of white space, color, contrast, visual hierarchy, scale. Is there anything wrong here? Yes, there is. White space. That should be moved over. So these are just fun little tests, so to speak, that I've integrated into the actual design course curriculum, but also made a free game just to drum up anticipation. So check that out if you wish. Awesome. That'd be awesome, Adrian. Okay. All right. Next up. Now, I've seen this one also before, so this person has submitted it. Again, I don't know if I've reviewed it. I feel like it feels like a big, like a blog. Like there's a lot happening here. Like if you look over here in this left sidebar, there's so much happening here that the navigation seems to get lost. So for me personally, if you're gonna have the sidebar nav, simplify it. There's just too much happening here. Also, there's a lot happening here as well. Kind of makes me. I'd rather have maybe a little bit more of a separation between these different, because you have two sections. You have your kind of like your hero section up here, and then you have this what I do down here. And I feel like this should have a little bit more prominence, maybe take up 50% of the viewport as we see it here at least. But the actual design, the layout of this looks pretty decent. Now this right here, the layout of these elements is not decent. Just because I wouldn't center align this stuff compared to this this headline right here. I would probably make this go on right here, start right on the left, go all the way over to the right. And that's some pretty interesting hover based transitions. I don't know about that. That's crazy though. All right, who is next? This is a redesign of a website. All right, redesigning this. All right, so I'm kind of confused as to what is the redesign. So apparently this is the original, and then this is the new one. My biggest problem with this is the really monotone, muted, mid-gray color scheme. These are pretty much mid-grays, and so it just kind of makes it look bland, in my opinion. So I would either try to get on the dark side, make this much darker, or the lighter side. Being that you already have the text as being white, then I would take the background elements, these two elements right here, and make them a lot darker. That's going to help you a lot more. Also, kind of a strange issue with layout. You know, in here, ideally we would have a more white space on the inside of this. So I would scale down the size of this. Maybe even get rid of this container. This darker container is unnecessary. It kind of just compartmentalizes the design unnecessarily so. So I would get rid of this, make the background darker, and then try to really stick to some sort of semblance of a consistent layout in terms of, right here you have a left aligned 2-column approach, but then we have a center aligned approach underneath it. Kind of strange. So strange letter spacing here. I would not have that extended letter spacing of 15.5%. It makes it a little bit more difficult to read. So those are just a few quick comments. Thank you for the submission. Next up is this Dribble Shot, a pet finder app. All right. All right, Pet Finder app. Find and adopt pets near you. Okay, so first off, to create that typographic visual hierarchy, or that separation, I would make this white. So find and adopt pets near you should be white. That will really make it stand out more as being a headline. Also, a little bit more line height on this paragraph right here. It's kind of squashed a little bit too much. I'm not sure about the graphic. Maybe try to find a way to work in some color here, like, or a secondary color from this purple. Yeah, because this graphic doesn't really speak to me about finding pets necessarily. It just seems like a random graphic with, you know, a pet paw in it. So I would work on that possibly. This screen's better. I would make this welcome back be white. Yeah, this is I like this screen better than the first one, so fairly decent. Personal portfolio. We had some animations, so I'm going to refresh this. All right, so it's giving me something over here to be desired, you know, something. If you're not going to have anything over here in this empty, essentially, column, you could just center align all this stuff. That way it'll equally take up space. Outside of that, the home works about contact. A little bit large, might scale that down a bit. I like the subtle animations on scroll. It's a good speed, so that all works. Yeah, not too bad. I like the stylish buttons here. They really do stand out quite well. So yeah, overall pretty solid. Mint.se. All right. I want to have a little bit more white space, just a bit, like so on top of here. Margin top. All right, it's not working at all. The font, I wouldn't use the font property, by the way. Let's see if I can, there we go, up here. Yeah, push that down at least there. That's margin top 4EM. And maybe even push this down as well. There's a lot of crazy stylings happening. Some sort of CMS has been used here, I think, which is resulting in a lot of crazy HTML elements. But if I refresh this, it seems like things are a little bit too close together for my liking. There's a lot happening here just because of the interface that's been used in conjunction with all the regular type up here. So I might try to figure out how to simplify this just a little bit more with the way it is. I do like the type. I like the separation with the subheadline. Get started, book a demo. These are all pretty solid. Next up, Instagram. It's kind of hard for me to see this. I mean, yeah, unfortunately, it's pretty pixelated looking at this. From what I see, though, it's not too bad. A little bit extended. Too much white space between the actual navigations. Just like maybe reduce that by half of what it is. Notice how there's almost an equal amount of white space between this element, this element, this element, and this element. You need to kind of not do that. Take your already in user and sign in, maybe push it up a little bit closer to sign up, and then the form itself can stand on its own, if you know what I mean. Next up, I'm starving. All right, refresh. I think we had some animation. Yes, we did. All right, so definitely don't like the hire me button. It's just kind of randomly placed, or it looks like it is. I know it looks like it must be center aligned in this container, but I'm not a fan of having your LinkedIn, all these big prominent buttons, especially above hire me. So I would make these smaller, more of an afterthought, not spread them all out like that. Maybe just left align them, make them smaller, and then have your call to action maybe right here, maybe along with adding a sub headline as well to kind of elaborate more about yourself. Essentially, there's nothing where I can't really scroll. So in terms of the IA aspect of situations and just marketing in general, I want to see your work. So if you have a portfolio, show your work and have a call to action to show, to bring people to your portfolio, because this is not really giving me much of anything. It's just an email. So definitely need to take consideration into that. Next up is a Discord bot website. All right. So this is okay. So these call to action buttons, like having this high contrast drop shadow, I'm not a fan of. The command seems to be demanding more attention because it's a colored button. Add to server seems to be like what you would want people to use first, so I would emphasize this more by making this colored. Also, having like this logo here with this background, which is very there's a lot happening there in terms of colors. It just gets lost. So there's too much cluttered with how this particular background image is designed. So you need to try to simplify this background graphic, maybe where there's just a big enough portion where it's just blue, where you can have all of this information instead of kind of trying to separate it through text shadows and putting containers. So it needs to be simplified a lot more, and then that way it'll really stand out on its own. Also, an anti-pattern here would be this Patreon, where it's a red background. Kind of says danger to me. It's something that you don't want people to click, so I would change that as well. Next up, I'm only going to be doing one website review per person, just because there's a lot here to get through. Oh, yeah, this person was showing me on their desktop, it was looking different. This was a previous one that I looked. Figma Prototype. The Codecast platform. All right, so I'm not sure it really makes sense to put a username, password, sign in or sign up area right here. It seems like it would make more sense to put that sort of information up in the navigation because right now nobody, if somebody brand new landed on this website, like they would have no interest in signing up because they don't really know what the situation is yet. The Codecast right here, Learning Code Made Easy, with this sort of illustration background. It's kind of cluttered. I might want to move this in a different area so that it's not directly behind your headline and your sub headline. So those are just quick comments there. Right here, who is Bennett.me? Use one of those filters on his picture, making him look like a polygon. All right, so the big issue is this navigation. This navigation honestly makes me feel like I'm back in 1997. You want to try to just go to sites like Dribbble, see what people are doing for their portfolios. Common UI navigation patterns, you want to stick with that. This right here with the glow and the icons aren't even consistently designed with each other, just ditch it. Stick to the basics, go back to the basics. Try not to be so unique, especially when it might be something that you don't have a ton of experience in anyways. So I definitely change that up. Try to stick to the basics. There's no headline. There's no call to action. Go back to the drawing board, definitely. hit me up when design course launches, and I'll even give you a coupon. You need to take the design course curriculum. Okay. Thank you for the submission. Next up is an Adobe Xd Prototype. What's going on in the chat? Is someone getting mad at me? All right. Now, I'll read that stuff in a second. All right, Comfort Plus. Was there any? No comments made about this. All right, Comfort Plus, new installation, emergency HVAC. I might want to scale this down slightly, just because it's so close to the logo, and then that way there's a clearer separation between the brand and the navigation on the side here. So I would scale these down just a bit. Also, typographic visual hierarchy that needs addressed here. There are 3 different font sizes because there's a headline, subheadline, and a description, but they're not different enough from each other. And so there's multiple ways you could do this. Font weight of get a quote now, you can make bold. I would also scale down the size of everything in here anyways by default. All right, we have a super chat here. I want to build the next Tesla for milk delivery. Unfortunately, we'll see if I can get to yours, but I mean, I hate to sound like this, but in the YouTube description, it does mention that it has to be equivalent of $5 US if you want me to expedite you to the front of the line. This says it's $1.34. So hopefully I can get to it anyhow. Thank you for the super chat though. So next up, portfolio site. I'll check out the chat and maybe chat with you guys a little bit at near the end of the cast here. We're at 44 minutes, no, 51 minutes already. So we're gonna be done here pretty soon. All right, so this to me lacks, I really want a subheadline of some sort because it would also help fill out this left section. You have an illustration this big. You can either push this down where it says making, push that whole section down to where it's centered vertically based on the height of this illustration, which I would do anyways, but it also makes sense to add like a subheadline. This learn how button is way understated. The learn how should definitely be bold and a little bit larger. Making imagination a reality. This also doesn't tell me much about what you're doing. You need to be a little bit more literal, and that's where a subheadline could come into place, or a little like a sentence to description about what exactly it is you do, because I have no clue. So definitely address the why, or the what rather, of this. And so doing it right here with what I do, it's not enough. It should be addressed in the headline section. I like the simplicity of everything. The colors work out pretty well. So yeah, continuing on. Yeah, that was Greg Images, right? Okay. I think we're gonna possibly end at G's. We'll see. Excuse me again. I'm freaking sneezing all over the place. Okay. Like the logo. Yeah, that works. Might want to make those all white though. It also looks like there's might be a slight issue with alignment, like where Explore, Platform Intro, and Plans is like a little bit higher. It should be on the baseline of where this text starts right here in the logo. Coordinate fun, high quality viral events in minutes. We've hand vetted our experts so you don't have to. Yeah, this is actually pretty decent for what it is. Not bad. I think this subheadline text is not going to pass the contrast. You need at least For this text, probably 3:1, possibly 4.5:1 contrast ratio. So look into the Stark plugin for Adobe Xd. It's also available for Figma. Portfolio site. No, we already did that. E-learning website. I already did that. Obviously, I have a terrible memory. Let's see, right here. All right, so I see you've changed the scroll bar, and it really doesn't mesh well, especially with this brown, wooden background. I would probably just revert back to sticking to the basics. Don't customize the scroll bar. There's a lot of issues with this. You have just randomly over here a headline that's pushed way to the left and a completely different font, and then you have another headline right here in the middle and a completely different font with this blue just hire me button that doesn't really seem to work quite well. So I would go back to the drawing board, honestly. There's nothing wrong with going to sites like Dribbble, and even as a matter of exercise, just recreating designs that you really like, that you say, hey, boy, I would love to be able to design like that, as a matter of practice and building up that muscle memory, because this definitely needs a lot of work, in my opinion. I hate to this is honest. This is the best I can do in as short amount of time in terms of giving feedback. Sometimes I have to tell people to go back to the drawing board, and I can't wait for designcourse.com, because this is going to help people tremendously from scratch. All right, so G's is up next. I think G's might be the last one that we do. Let me take a look at the stream time so far. We're at 56 minutes. Maybe one more after this. Oh, there was a super chat too, so I'm gonna definitely do. Actually, we should do that first. Geez, I will get to yours after this, but there was a super chat, and that person has to go to the forward of the line. Okay, so this is just an image. I'm gonna open up in a different browser. Thank you very much for the super chat, of course. All right, I'm gonna have to put that user in the timeout. No spamming. All right, looking at this, let's reset this. All right, so unfortunately, the image you gave me is a little bit pixelated. So I would, try in the future, try to make sure they're not pixelated, because it looks like, especially the navigation up here, it's pixelated text. I would make these probably white though. The glass morphism thing, I actually kind of like this area right here where it says get starting searching for a course. I would probably make the learn faster, learn smart a little bit bigger. That way it separates these two a little bit more, visually speaking. Down here, this isn't too bad. You can see we kind of used like an offset approach here on these cards. Yeah, I mean, this really isn't that bad for what it is. It's obviously, there's not much here, but yeah, just a few small things. Let's get back to Jesus. Jeez, or is that his name? Yeah, I think it is. Where am I at? Wow, we got a lot of submissions here. Oh my God, there are so many. Where did Jesus go? From G's. There we go. All right. We're gonna open this one up. All right. Let's see if we hit play, if we can get it larger here. All right. So, looking at this, G's is, by the way, one of the people has been a beta tester of my UI design, the designcourse.com curriculum. All right, so let's take a look at this. This login seems to be pretty large in relation to everything else. So I would probably scale that down just a bit. Yeah, I would definitely scale that down because it just seems to demand too much attention for what it is. All right, Discord market. I like the separation between these two elements. This button right here, or this icon, should probably be white. And some person is screwing around up here. And probably a little bit more just separation between all these elements. Now, this is your primary call to action, this search button or bar. And so I might want to make that even more prevalent. And you could probably, being that you don't have a right column, center all this stuff and just make that the search bar quite a bit more prominent, because it's such an important part of whatever this is for Discord. Looking at this, might want to make these bold, the names right here. But yeah, this is all pretty solid, pretty decently. Maybe try to work at changing, because there's a lot of happening here real close to each other in this 2-column portion. So starting at, maybe remove starting at, and that would simplify it quite a bit. But yeah, overall, not bad. Awesome stuff. All right, so that's going to be it for the reviews. It's been exactly 1 hour practically. Well, I'll look at the chat later. Yeah, so yeah, if anybody has any questions or whatever, I'll hang out for a couple more minutes, but my throat's starting to hurt from talking so much. Yeah. I'll show some of the actual design course curriculum. Now these all look kind of grayed out because they've already been watched, because I've been clicking on them or whatever. Ones that haven't been watched, you can clearly tell they're higher contrast. But basically, you start off with this little mini course. It's only 45 minutes long. It's UI Design Fundamentals, where I discuss all those extremely important fundamentals to help establish that foundation. These are in video format. And then there's the tests. So this is the first time the tests kind of show up in place. Like, what is wrong with this simple design right here? And so then there's 3 tests. There's a video. And then I get into like the most simple layout that you can create, and this is a video. And then there's the challenge, the very first challenge that shows up. There's going to be like 15 challenges where you can get your work reviewed. There'll be 2 different price points for people to join. One is where you could still take challenges, but I won't review it because it requires my work. And then for $90 every build at every 3 months, I will look at your work and even iterate over areas of your work through Figma that need addressed. And so there's a rating down here. Obviously this isn't a real rating, and a comment as well. So this is what it is so far. So we're just kind of going through different types of designs and then having tests that show up after it based on what you learned in this video, like learning about card design, learning about button design, learning about navigation basics, and all these tests about navigations. Like, what is this one? Like, you have to determine what is wrong about this design. Let's see if I can remember, because I personally, it's been a while since I made this one. So for me, this looks like an issue of alignment, because you have on this right here, we have a column established right here. These 2 are on that column, but this one's not. So this could be considered a white space issue, because there's too much white space, or an alignment issue. So I tried to remember to like remove UI or options that could be in contrast with each other. They could be the right answer, both of them. So hopefully I denoted this as being an alignment issue. Yep, there it is. So now it's all aligned correctly. And then also, because it hasn't told me this isn't this test hasn't been completed yet, there's something else wrong about it. And so I would say it is color right here. This doesn't make sense to have this color and then Facebook be white. So I'm going to put color. There we go. So I was able to get both of those correct. Show before. This is the bad design. Show after. This is the improved design. So yeah, In terms of how much it's going to cost, it's going to be, in order to take the entire curriculum, it's going to be a one-time fee, so you have lifetime access to all this stuff. And this is only about like 40% done. I still have probably 60 modules to create. It's going, and right now there's 5 hours worth of actual video, and there's a bunch of tests, and there's several challenges. It's going to be pretty cheap, relatively speaking. If you look at other competitors, it's going to be one-time fee of like 99 bucks. And then if you want me to rate your design, it'll be $90 every 3 months. That's what I'm thinking so far. So, yeah, I can't wait. Anyhow, thank you all for joining up for this stream, and we'll do another stream next week. And also check out my Twitch. I do stream from time to time on there. I did almost a 4-hour stream. Oops, that's not where I want to go. Twitch.tv design course. Yeah, give me a follow here. Yeah, I did a 3-hour and 40-minute stream a few days ago where I was working on design course. So, yep, give that a check out, and I will see. It won't be on Udemy. This is purely our own situation at designcourse.com. All right, everybody, thanks a lot, and I'll see you soon. Goodbye.